End times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end-time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB. Suicide's increasing among the youth, and many of them playing suicide games. This has to stop. Parents, watch your kids, and if you feel there's something going on and they are considering suicide, please talk to them, help them. And if it seems hopeless, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. They can help. It's free and confidential. Your call will be answered by a trained counselor in a local crisis center. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline can help. There's a problem on our roads today, and that is the safety of our children boarding and getting off the bus on busy roads. That problem is drivers who don't stop for a school bus when the arm is out, the lights are flashing, and the stop sign is out, leaving kids in danger of getting hit. Violators of this law could get a suspension of their driver's license and a $250 fine. When you see a school bus stop at a corner, letting off kids, stop 25 feet away from the bus. Don't take that chance. A public service announcement from the National Highway Safety Administration and GJRB Online. And back on the air here on GJRB Online. This is the GJRB Schedule Update Podcast. And we're doing a program schedule. And now, with my new experiment, I was off for quite some time. With 11 minutes left to go, when I plugged this back into the internet from the back of the modem, I got an extra 43 minutes on top of the 41 minutes I already am in now. So that gives me, when this all ends up, an hour and 23 minutes when it's over with. Yeah, hour and 23 minutes. So I was off for that much time that what I could do in a period of time where I would have maybe 23 minutes left to go in a program. Okay, let's say I talk till, I do a segment with 11 minutes left to go in the piece. Let's say about 11 minutes approximately. And I decided to take a promo break at that point. Okay, with 11 minutes left to go, I disconnect for maybe, I'd say, 10 minutes. Okay? Or maybe 5 to 10 minutes. This depends on the break time. Okay, let's just say we take a break and for news at the hard break. With 11 minutes left to go, at a point where I could do that. Well, then I would plug it back in and have extra time. So, this is just something with an experiment how I could do things. Now, I have that extra time now. I have an extra time now to get into our tight shows that I wanted to talk about. So, without further ado, I'm going to talk about the tight programs on GJRB Online Network. Now, I'm not going to do this all the time. I'm just going to do this once in a while when I feel that I have a guest spot. Like Saturday. I'm going to probably do this Saturday when I have Ben on. But I'm going to have the break. I'll go to the hard break at the half hour at 3:30, do my regular hard break, and come back on in about 5 minutes into the program, right? And then go and do another break at quarter to the hour with whatever I have left on there, maybe 11, 10, 5 minutes, whatever the case, and plug it back in. I should get myself a nice chunk of time there. I think it's pretty cool. And like I said, I only do that when I have a guest spot on the program where I would, and again, when I do a guest spot on my show, I do everything on this show on the studio console, not on the web-based. I just do the studio console. And I could do it probably on the web-based too. But I'm going to do it on the studio console. But I could do it on the web-based and then flip over and continue broadcasting. Which case I'd have my guest without even a
lamb's tail that I would be back, and continuously broadcast. And it would be good for guest spots, really, more than anything. Just when I have a guest on. And it would be before my guest came on. I don't want to make my guest wait through breaks. So that's the only reason I would do that. And I would do it at the first hard break. So I think when I have Ben on Saturday, I want to make sure that he's on in my close to my second hour. I usually have him on in the second and third hour of the program. My first hour is preliminary stuff. That usually is the opening monologue, news, weather on the fives, and promo break going into the hard break. And then come back out of the hard break, offline, online, boom, more time. Boom, I could talk a little longer. So it's just, like I said, it's just going to take a little bit of time to play around with this. Meanwhile, let's do the the show. I'm talking about the shows that are tight now. These are the tight shows. And I'm talking about programs like radio, television, and movie classics, which I'm going to have on tomorrow, 3 o'clock Central Time. And that is a tight show, which is tightly produced. Now, the programs that I have tightly produced are radio, television, and movie classics, Radio Land, because I have to pick the old radio programs and make a playlist, pick the classic commercials that play between them, make a playlist, all that. It's all in one playlist. And that's a show that has to be tight and has to be scheduled. These are programs that are on regularly. Now, those are the ones I'm going to put in the time slots they're going to be. Then I work around those programs with the spontaneous shows. And those spontaneous shows run on a cycle rundown of programs which I have written up. Okay, we'll talk about that coming up. But the tight shows are those programs. And Radioland is one of those programs. It's a tight show that has to have a playlist and has to be scheduled. Along the line, let's go further down. The other programs that are spontaneous are Good Times, Great Oldies Show and Alternating Weekends. Now, here's the other one I'm going to talk about now. The Alternating Weekends. This program is going to be scheduled in Alternating Weekends with the last 7 days and Way Out There. The last 7 days and Way Out There airs the third weekend of the third week of the month. Week 3, third Friday. Usually on the schedule, it's on the third Friday of the month. The following day, I do third Friday of the month. The following day, that following Saturday, is Classic Country and Bluegrass Jubilee. All right, that's always on the third week of the month. Now, I'm going to alternate the third week of the month, being that I'm going to do more Way Out There's in spontaneity and prime time evening leading into Spaced Out Radio, in which case then I'll have that extra Way Out There on. That program will be somewhat spontaneous, somewhat, not, I won't have a schedule. I won't have a rundown for it. It'll just be freeform, unless I have a guest. In which case, it'll be a lead-in. But right now, I'm doing that segment on technocracy, and I usually do the technocracy segment in the second hour. So that program I might do spontaneously, and I'm going to try a evening version of Way Out There leading into Spaced Out Radio. Radioland, the Golden Weekends. Now, that's what I'm talking about. The Golden Weekends are going to be in rotation with that every other month. Every other month I'm going to do a Golden Weekend in that time slot that weekend. So Way Out There will have it will be spontaneously airing. I'll have a Way Out There on as an evening program, and it might be either a I'm thinking a Thursday or Friday night, or Tuesday. But Tuesday, I don't like to broadcast opposite some of my really good podcasters. And if I do a Tuesday night, it's going to be on opposite Ed Delgado. And I really don't want to be on opposite Ed Delgado. I really don't want to, because I just don't want to conflict with his show. His show's too good to be on opposite. Okay? So quite frankly, I'm not going to do anything opposite Ed Delgado's program. This is a Caramel Conservative. I like to listen to his program, so I don't want to be on at the same time. So basically, that says it all. I want to, keep on, only any night other than Tuesday. Okay, so that could be Monday, any night other than Tuesday or Wednesday night, because Wednesday night is usually our Bible study, and I record that live at location, so that I'm not home. But Thursday night's the best night to do that program. Thursday evening from 8 until 11, we would do Way Out There, which is, again, a great lead-in for Dave Scott's Spaced Out Radio. I think this is an absolutely fabulous, great lead-in, because it's right there. I just think it works. So we're going to try that on a Thursday night. Probably, I was thinking about trying it this month. I don't know when, because I don't have a Way Out There ready for this month, for a third week of the month. And being that this is the second week of the month, it would have been scheduled for next Friday, the 15th, and I really don't have a show ready for the 15th. So with that in mind, there won't be a Way Out There on next Friday. Okay, no Way Out There next Friday. So I'm thinking about a Way Out There alternating as a nighttime program the following Friday. We could try that Friday night. We could try that Friday night, the 22nd. Let's tentatively schedule that for Friday night, March 22nd, 8 p.m. Central Time, for a Way Out There. So that gives me a couple weeks to really throw that show together. So I'm looking at Friday night, March 22nd at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on GJRB Online for Way Out There, the strange, the bizarre, the unusual. And I'm going to do the next part in my series on technocracy, which is the show about that I was talking about before. And I'm going to talk about another near-death experience segment. So I got one set up. I've been looking at one, and I really wanted to talk on my series on hell, which I was going to be talking about. A person who apparently had died and came back, but had a temporary visit of hell. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to also talk about the guy who wrote the book 23 Minutes in Hell, which was a very interesting show. We're going to talk about that one coming up on a future show here on Way Out There. And we're going to talk about, a person who was guided by God, apparently, in a story that I have on my YouTube. A story about that, and the fact that they saw the scientist Stephen Hawking. And we're going to talk about that one on a future Way Out There. So tune in for that. Anyway, getting back to a golden weekend, 50s, 60s, 70s rock and roll, good time oldies. We're going to do that one as a golden weekend. I'm looking at next weekend, 2-day show, Friday and Saturday, 15th and 16th. Good time rock and roll, 50s, 60s, 70s rock and roll. And I'm looking at a chart for that week. I'm going to be doing research on doing the weekend of March 15th and 16th of 1972, one of my favorite years in music. So I'm gonna do the top 20 for that week. The top 20 hits of 1972. That will be on the Saturday show, the the Saturday part of it. That'll be on the Saturday Golden Weekend Good Times Great Oldies show. I'm going to be doing the top 20 hits of 1972. It'll be from this week in 1972. That'll be the week of the 15th and 16th. That'll actually be the week ending, whatever week that would be close enough to it. 1972. And I guess I would have to go and check and see if I can go back to, and I can do that on this. I could go way, way back in time on this computer calendar. All I have to do is kind of go way clear back. As a matter of fact, I can go into decades. It makes it a lot faster. Let me see if I can go back to decades. I'm going to go back to 1972. Okay. 1972 March. Okay, that would be the week ending March 10th, 1972. But I think I would be really doing the week ending March 17th, 1972. So within that period. So that would be the 15th and 16th. There it is. That was the weekend we're going to do it. That would be included in that week ending March 17th, 1972, because that year St. Patrick's Day was on a Friday. So 1972 St. Patrick's Day fell on a Friday. So we're going to do that week, the week ending March 17th, 1972, the top 20 hits, because that's all I have time for. I really can't do the whole 40. So I usually do the top 20 hits from that week. I will be on the Saturday Radio, Television, and Movie Classics next Saturday. Not Radio, Television, and Movie Classics. The Good Times Great Oldies show next Saturday. So this week, Friday, Gary J's Crooners and Radio, Television, and Movie Classics. Followed on Saturday by the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra with Benos then. Hope he can get on there. If not, we'll have to postpone that and pull it up another week. Another weekend, probably the last weekend. We have to cancel and Ben doesn't come on. We'll push that Golden Weekend down to the last weekend in March so that we can have him on. But we're going to try to make sure he's on Saturday for sure. I really want him on Saturday for sure. So I'm going to be working on that one. Otherwise, it's going to be the Golden Weekend. And on next Saturday, which would be March 16th, we're going to have the Good Times Great Oldies show and the top 20 hits. They're usually the last 2 hours of the show, from 3 until about 4 until 6 p.m. I do the top 20 songs from that week in 1972. So I'm going to be doing some research on that and picking the songs for it and doing the survey. So that'll be a neat show. Good Times Great Oldies show. Anyway, that alternating weeks in March will be the third week will be the Golden Weekends, and that will be rock and roll 50s, 60s, 70s rock and roll all weekend long, and we'll do the Good Times Great Oldies show for 2 days straight, 50s, 60s, 70s rock and roll, and we'll have our top 20 hits from the week ending March 17th, 1972 on radio on the Good Times Great Oldies show. So tune in for that. Alternating months, that's what we're going to do. The last 7 days and way out there every other month on the third week. Every other month on the third week, Good Times Great Oldies show and the Golden Weekend. That would be, and then of course that means that they'll also alternate with the third Saturday of the month with our classic country and bluegrass jubilee, which will again won't air regularly scheduled until April. So probably like the third week in April, but I might do some shows sooner in spontaneous. So as I rig up schedule plans and really make this a really neat station. Meanwhile, going into the last week of the month, we always have the Blues House. Now, I haven't done the Blues House since the tail end of last year as well. I can't remember the last time I did a Blues House show, but it's been a while. The Walter Dubai, I can't remember his name. I hope I pronounce it right. He is the one who does Blues in the Night every Monday night right here on Spreaker. And they wanted to know when I do my blues show. And I said, well, right now I don't have a scheduled time slot for it. But it's going to be sometime next month. I'm working on trying to get it on this month, actually. So that show, the blues show that I have, again, that's a music show. It's rotated music I have on the computer, and I use my format wheel. So I'm going to try to put that show on the last Saturday in March. Okay? Let's see how that works out with the rest of the programs and with Ben Osman Saturday. Again, that'll be with... If that doesn't air, then I'll do a blues show spontaneously anytime within the rest of that month. So that's how that's going to work. If a show gets canceled because for any reason I cancel a show, that show will then become spontaneously automatically. I'll just have it on any time. Okay. In other words, if I cancel a show for any reason, whether it be a family emergency, something came up, or something or other, then what I'll do is I'll do that show spontaneously within that week when I can. So that's how that's going to work. So if there's any shows get canceled, that's what happens. It goes into spontaneity right away. So that the show does go on. And then voice track shows we're going to do next here real quickly. Like I said before, we're going to do this spontaneity, or what I call spontaneous broadcasting for good. That's it. I can't schedule programs. I'm going to try to. But a lot of times, the programs that are regularly scheduled on this radio station, the programs that are regularly scheduled will stay once a week in its time slot. Okay? The programs that are once a week in the time slot are the programs that I have written, produced, and have a rundown for. Okay? And are already done. All right? If the program's not done, such as Way Out There, doesn't go on. And I write one. Okay? That's how that works. Okay? So that some of the programs I might not always get on the air. It just depends on a lot of things. It depends on if I have a program produced and written. If I don't, produced, written, and back time. If I don't, there's no program there. It doesn't go on. So it's just that simple. Other programs, though, it could go on as a spontaneous program, but it'll be freeform. In other words, I won't be following any script. I won't be following any log. It'll just be a loose show. It'll be freeform. It'll be spontaneous. So that's what that means. So it's all spontaneous programming all the time out right now. So I think it's going to be more fun doing it. And I'm going to do that all summer. Because I'm thinking this summer I really want to get on my bike. I want to do more things. I want to do a man on the street thing with my voice recorder now that I got another one. And I'm going to be hopping on my bike. I'm going to get a tire for it so I could go out and about the community and do a man on the street type of thing. I've been wanting to do that for my Gary Russen program and interview folks in Clinton. And I might even do with my tablet where I can have video. I might try a few of those. They will go on the GJRB TV YouTube channel. That is next. I want to talk about that for a few minutes because this is another one where I haven't done it for a while and I miss it. And I was doing it a couple of years ago when I got my EasyVid and when I got my XSplit Broadcaster, which I had downloaded to this computer, which is a program where I could broadcast video on my YouTube channel, the GJRB TV YouTube channel. That I haven't done for a while. And I use XSplit. And that means that I can go on live on YouTube and then play videos live on the air. And I've been doing that. I haven't done it in a while, and I kind of miss doing that kind of show because I've done some TV, and I enjoyed doing that program. And it's been on hiatus for some time now, to a point where I'm just going to start all over again. Just that. I got to start all over again with that program. So it's going to be a brand new show, the brand new Gary Russen program video edition, or I should call it the Gary Russen program. It's really called the Gary Russen program on YouTube. It's a video version of this program. And another one I was going to do is the spontaneity. I've been trying this for some time. Don't know if it's going to work. I know that Blake is attempting to do this too. And that it was going on the air on Spreaker at the same time doing a video on YouTube. Now, I could probably do that with my tablet. But my tablet has a tendency to die. Okay? So I don't know if it'll work or not. And it would be where I'd have to hold the tablet up so that I can broadcast live my show here on Spreaker and have a video at the same time. I could do it on the computer, but I think it slows the computer down drastically. So that's why I would probably do it via tablet, video, Spreaker, audio, computer, because I don't think it's going to work otherwise. It just won't. I don't know. It probably could, and I could probably do it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make a habit of doing it both on the computer, because I tried it once before, and I think it uses up too much CPUs, so I'm not going to even try it. So I'm going to do it via Spreaker online on the computer and video from the tablet. So unless I someday get one of those cameras, I think they can go live on YouTube. I don't know. Is there one of those? Might be. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's pretty much how that's going to work out. And so I thought we'd do a recap. Once again, every GJRB is now going on what is called permanent spontaneous programming. Now, this is the first of many. Now, I went on the air live without really posting anything. I just spontaneously went on the air with the Gary Russen, with the GJRB, get my show straight, the GJRB Schedule Update podcast. Okay? And doing an experiment in which I purposely disconnected the computer offline from the modem while Spreaker was going for a period of time, giving me well over an hour and 23 minutes nonstop. Now, this is pretty cool. I mean, I had to take a break to do it, and it does work. It's giving me, I'm now at 107.59 in, going 108 in, with 16 minutes and 27 seconds left. So that gives me maybe, I'll be over at about 116, maybe 123 in. So it gives me well over an hour and 23 minutes total. Now, I don't know. I got to look at that when I look at my recordings. Now, after I get off the air, I want to listen to this back at my break points to see where what this does, because I've noticed that it gives me an interesting. Now, I have to look at my recordings after I go off the air to see how that looks on the where I saved this show at in the computer's envelope, where I put this at. because I like, the one thing I do like about the Spreaker Studio is that it saves it automatically into the computer, so that I have it. I can automatically save it. I don't have to download it. Again, the only time I download is if I'm broadcasting off of the web-based console. Other than that, I like this studio. This is my favorite. And as I said before, when I do go up to the 3-hour plan, more than likely I'll probably always use the studio console all the time. I probably won't even use the web-based unless I'm on all day long with programming, and in which case I probably will use the web-based from time to time. But other than that, until I do get the 3-hour plan, which is going to be a while, and that's why I discovered this idea of pulling the internet from the computer while I'm on live to give myself extra time. I thought this was pretty cool. And I guess it would be where I would use that as a break point when I'm having guests. Otherwise, I'm still going to go the way I always do it. But this is pretty cool for now. I like this idea. Now, what I'm going to do right now is give you a recap of how I'm going to be doing this. I have a show rotation, and I was talking about that earlier. The show rotation, which I think is further on here. The one I wrote down here somewhere. And then I had it here somewhere, the show rotation. Let me see if I have that here before I close out. Here it is, show rotation. The show rotation goes as this. Music shows are usually first, and the top priority is Christian rock. Now, the Positive Rock Show has not been on the air since January. I think the last time I did a Positive Rock Show was January. Didn't do a Positive Rock Show in February. February was a short month. So I am going to plan on another Positive Rock Show, and the Return of Rock Worship will be in this month as well, under the spontaneous broadcasting. Now, all next week, there is no scheduled programming on GJRB. Everything is going to be spontaneous. I'm going to be going on there as a spontaneous schedule. Friday, tomorrow, we'll be on the air live, 3 o'clock Central, for Crooners and Radio, Television, and Movie Classics. And then Saturday is going to be the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, with guest Ben Ostman. Hopefully. Okay? Don't know yet, but let's hope. And then next week, starting Monday through Friday, I've got some stuff to do on Monday. I probably will not be on the air Monday. Tuesday, don't know yet about Tuesday. Tuesday's kind of like iffy. If I do it on Tuesday, it might be a Tuesday night, but I doubt it. I'm not doing anything opposite Delgado. So let's go. Let's jump to next Wednesday. Morning programming, possibly. Automated music. And probably be a rerun of the last... If I were to do anything Wednesday, it'll be a rerun of the last episode of... the most recent episode of the Blues House show. Because I have not done the Blues House in a long time, so I might rerun it. It'll probably be a rerun. I'm going to rerun the last Blues show I did, which I believe was, and I can't remember straight exactly. I have to look at the date on it on my computer here. Let's take a look. Let me see. The last time I did a Blues House show, I could go into my title page. Let's do that. I'm going to pop into my title page and see the last time I did a Blues House show. Don't know entirely when. Let me see here. I'm going to go to check under my Blues House. There's Blues Jubilee. Blues House. Where is the Blues House? I think I thought better T. Here we go. The Blues House, page 24 on my title page, my title document. Let's see, where is that dumb thing? Gotta see where. If I run out of time, I might just do one more part. Let's do a final part. Why not? Might as well do a final part. Well, probably won't be all the way through. I'll probably just end it early. So we're going to do one more part after this because I see I'm running out of time on my Spreaker site. So I might do one more part to end this because I got other things I want to do. So one more part, it may be about a half hour. At most, it'll just be maybe 20 minutes to a half hour to finish out what I want to say. So if it runs out, I'm going to continue with the last part. I got 9 minutes and 45 seconds, so I might be able to fit it in. Let's see what we can do. I'm looking for the Blues House. The Blues House. That is my blues show. The last time I did a Blues House was Blues House 101, dated October 27th, 2018. So that goes way back. That goes back to October. Okay, that was the last time I did a Blues House. October 18th. Boy, that's a long time ago, it seems. So what I'm going to do is replay that last Blues House show. I'll edit it down, whittle it down, get rid of time-sensitive material. Any old promos and stuff, I got to go through that and see what old... Because I have to look at the playlist and see if there's any old promos still on there yet that I need to take off. And then I'm going to rerun that probably next week sometime. So watch for that on the GJRB Spreaker public site. It'll be a rerun of the last blues show I did back on October 27th. That was close to Halloween. So I'm going to replay that one. And then I'm going to probably replay the Bluegrass Jubilee that I had on a couple weeks ago. What was that? Bluegrass Jubilee. When did I last have that on? That was the one I did right after Classic Country. I might even just rerun that one too. Classic Country, and just not even touch it. Just run it raw the way it was. Even because you all know it's a rerun. Okay, you all know it's a rerun. So I'll just run it raw. And it'll be what I had that Saturday. It'll just be a rerun. And so the promos will sound odd. You say, I thought you already had that on. No, it's a rerun. I'm replaying a previous show. So I'll have that coming up. And then next week I'm going to do Gary J in the afternoon. That'll probably be next Thursday. I want to do a Gary J in the afternoon. News, weather, sports page, and some of your favorite GJRB music from the GJRB's main middle-of-the-road format. So we're going to do that Thursday next week. That's some of the shows that will be on spontaneously next week, and possibly something I'll do with Lori yet. So it's some of the programs that are coming up here on GJRB Online in the next week. And like I said before, that'll be Thursday. Then next Friday and Saturday is going to be a golden weekend. 50s, 60s, 70s, good time rock and roll. Gary J's Good Times, Great Oldies show. And it'll be open request on Friday. And then on Saturday, open request. And the top 20 songs from the week ending March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 1972. So I hope you'll enjoy that broadcast. That's all next week right here on GJRB Online. Of course, I'll run a promo on that tomorrow during the Crooners program and during the radio, television, and movie classics. I'll try to do it during radio because I already have Crooners already back timed and ready to go. So it'll probably be during radio, television, and movie classics. I'll kind of add that in as an extra. And give you the program. I usually do that in the last hour anyway. Usually my final hour I do the program schedule, I do what's on Spreaker, and then I do the program schedule right after that for us. So that's how I usually do that. Yeah. We're going to kind of close it out. I just think it's going to close it out here because I got things to do. I've got a lot of stuff I want to work on. I need to load list the Crooners program for tomorrow, which I haven't done yet. So I've got to get that put up. and get ready for the radio, television, and movie classics, and finish rounding up all my segments. And I got a TV Guide page from March 6th. It's about as close as I can get it. March 6th, 1981, from the Alabama market. Can't remember, it's Birmingham. It's it's on the border of Alabama and Florida. Okay, this market I'm going to read you a TV Guide from. But it's from 1981. Okay, so it's a TV Guide issue from 1981. We're going to feature in our TV Guide segment. And I have one from that I'm going to be reading to you from 1958, I believe. TV schedule from 1958, which I'm going to play. I'm going to do for you tomorrow. Also, a star profile on Ronnie Shell. I'm going to do a little bio on Ronnie Shell from Gomer Pyle, and I have, what else do I have? The TV schedule, retro prime time is going to take you to Saturday night, summer of 1968. So it's going to be a great show tomorrow. You're going to want to tune in for it. Got some trivia questions. Got some real tough ones too. I have a couple of real tough ones. Not really that tough. If you were a fan of, I was watching this past weekend on Decades, Policewoman, and I have some Policewoman trivia questions about Angie Dickinson coming up tomorrow. So you're going to listen to that. And a whole lot of other stuff. So I hope you'll stay with me tomorrow afternoon. We start at 1 o'clock Central Time. That's 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern, and 11 a.m. Pacific for radio, for crooners. And I'll be giving you a couple of songs and a little profile on Vic Dana. Vic Dana. He is a singer from the 1960s. Had a couple of hits. Kind of worked with Sammy Davis Jr., I believe. And be featuring some music from Vic Dana and a couple of songs from some of his biggest hits. His biggest hit by far was a top 10 hit from 1965. Another cover of Red Roses for a Blue Lady. So we got that all coming up for you. So you're going to want to tune in tomorrow. Great program, great crooners, radio, television, movie classics, starting at 1 o'clock Central, right here on GJRB Online. So you're going to want to tune in for that. It's going to be a good show. And they got a lot of really good stuff. So you're going to want to tune in for that. So tune in for that. Yeah. That's going to do it for the GJRB Schedule Update Podcast. Any questions, just leave me a message on my GJRB Spreaker public site. Here on Spreaker, and of course on my Facebook page, Twitter, Google+, wherever this show is sent to, you can leave questions, and I will check those and try to answer as much as I can. Thanks a lot for tuning in. This has been the GJRB Schedule Update Podcast on the GJRB Online Network. I'm Gary J. Russen. Have your best day ever. Talk to you tomorrow.
End times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end-time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB. The blues, the primary start to rock and roll music, the music in which artists express their feelings through music. This is a new blues show featuring the best of the blues, with new emerging artists getting their thrill of hearing their selections played along with the greats like Muddy Waters, B.B. King, and Etta James, along with a whole lot more.
The doors open soon.
To the Blues House on GJRB. End times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end-time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB. Suicide's increasing among the youth, and many of them playing suicide games. This has to stop. Parents, watch your kids, and if you feel there's something going on and they are considering suicide, please talk to them, help them. And if it seems hopeless, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. They can help. It's free and confidential. Your call will be answered by a trained counselor in a local crisis center. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline can help.